Please join if you want. Just our voices. Just listen to each other.
Good Shabbos. Good Yontif. Shabbat Shalom. Shana Tova. You've got a lot to choose from. Buen Shabbat, Renee reminds me. And it was also your Uncle Jack, yeah, who said on Rosh Hashanah, he said, Shana Tova Baklava. Is that right? Okay, I got that right. That's Ladino. No, it's probably not Ladino. Welcome to 5784. Yeah, you can hoot and holler if you want. You made it. I'm going to tell you, there are a couple of rabbis, I want to tell you from the Talmud. For 2.5 years, the schools of Shammai and the schools of Hillel maintained an argument. The former said, Shammai's school, that it would have been better if human beings had not been created. Because look at what they do. And the school of Hillel said, it's better that human beings were created than not created. Because look at what they do. They took a vote. See, this is Reconstructionist democracy. And they came to this decision. It would have been better had human beings not been created, because look at what they do. And yet, since they were created, we might as well pay close attention to their actions, those in the past and those before them. The river of life that we swim in, we are in the middle of life and death decisions, and we have all been given this chance. Let's take it.
I was born in the river of life. I was born in the river of life. I was born in the river of life. I was born in the river. I was born in the river. love for the elders, love for the trees, and love for the rivers. I got love for the earth and love for the sky. Love when I laugh and love when I cry. Got love for the children and love for the elders, love for the trees and love for the rivers. I got love for the earth and love for the sky. Love when I laugh and love when I cry. I ain't afraid to live 'cause I know I'm gonna die. I ain't afraid to live 'cause I know I'm gonna die. I ain't afraid to live 'cause I know I'm gonna die. I ain't afraid to live 'cause I know I'm gonna die. I was born in the river of life. I was born in the river of life. I was born in the river of life. I was born in the river. I was born in the river of life. I was born in the river of life. I was born in the river of life. I was born in the river. I got love for the children and love for the elders, love for the trees and love for the rivers. I got love for the earth and love for the sky. Love when I laugh and love when I cry. I got love for the children and love for the elders, love for the trees and love for the rivers. I got love for the earth and love for the sky. Love when I laugh and love when I cry. I ain't afraid to live 'cause I know I'm gonna die. I ain't afraid to live 'cause I know I'm gonna die. I ain't afraid to live 'cause I know I'm gonna die. I ain't afraid to live 'cause I know I'm gonna die. I was born in the river of life. I was born in the river of life. I was born in the river of life. I was born in the river.
In a moment, we're going to continue in our machzor, in our prayer book, which has the word Chet, Zion, Resh in it, returning. This is the returning book, how we get back to who we are. If the book isn't helping you do that, I invite you to put it aside. Do what you need to do tonight. I only ask you that you don't put it on the ground because it has God's name in it, but it's a tool. Just like the music and the words and the spirit and the breathing are tools. Whatever you need for this night, for these days, to return to the beautiful, beautiful soul that you are. Please take that opportunity to do what you need to do. We're going to continue on page 23. This is the moment that the world changes. At this instant, one year ends, the other begins. The air is cluttered with the past and potent with new possibilities. If we are weary, may we find strength. If we are discouraged, may we find hope. If we have forgotten how to share, may we teach each other and learn together. If we have been careless with one another, may we seek forgiveness. May we be warmed by renewed purpose, inspired by the Spirit of this holy night. And since it is a double special night because it's Shabbos and it's Yom Tov and it's the New Year, we always have 2 candles, but now we've got 2 extra bright candles. Speaking of 2 great lights, I'm going to invite Bonnie and Michael, 2 lights of this community. They seem to be trying to get another couple of great lights to join them. Yeah? It might be, we've got 4. Yeah? To light the Shabbat and Yom Tov candles. I invite you to rise in body or spirit. maybe you haven't stretched today. Maybe you want to emulate these candles. So I invite you to do that if you need some space, if you need to stretch, if you need to breathe. Open your heart to the possibility, this moment pregnant with blessing. As we breathe in and let our hearts shine toward the light, we bring the blessing in once, twice, 3 times. If you want, and the person next to you wants, a special double Shabbat and Rosh Hashanah hug, I invite you to get consent from that person and give them that hug and receive that hug. Shana Tova. You know, this is the first time we've had Rosh Hashanah all year, isn't it?
It is. It is the first time.
It's a Shehachianu moment.
It's a Shehachianu moment.
So I'm going to invite you to join with, have you met my amazing Bima partner yet? If not, you should.
I have something I'd like to share. Is that okay?
Is it okay?
Yeah.
It's freaking fantastic.
What
Please.
a treat for me. What an absolute. If this wasn't a Shehachianu moment for you, it is a Shehachianu moment for me. I am unbelievably grateful to be standing here with you in this moment. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, we are participants in life and its ever unfolding and mysterious nature. Bring yourself into this moment. We have arrived here to celebrate, to be in community, to mark the new year, to do the work of growing and healing and repairing, of being alive. What a gift to pause and mark it with the Shehachianu blessing. In the presence of the infinite, we pause with gratitude for the journeys that have brought us to the here and now. And together we sing, Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ruach haolam, shehechianu v'kiyamanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. Amen. The gorgeous voices in this room.
They sound good.
My goodness.
I think they're hired. You're all hired. So now that you get to be awesome up here, Will gets to not be the music director anymore. He gets to just be the chorus director and write amazing music, like this setting of Yedid Nefesh. That is going to happen. Apparently, it's not what I have in my notes, but apparently Speaking of amazing people, hey, Hallie.
Hi.
Our executive director, pretty fantastic, is going to share some words of welcome with you.
Thank you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shana Tova.
Shana tova.
I'm Haley Monet. I'm the executive director here at Congregation Bet Havarim. I am deeply honored to stand before you as we usher in the new year. I want to extend my heartfelt greetings and a warm welcome tonight to everyone in this room and to those of us that are joining on Zoom. And to those of you who have been part of our congregation for years and those who are joining us for the first time tonight, each of you plays a vital role in our community. And we are stronger when we come together to worship, learn, and support one another. I encourage each and every one of you to take full advantage of this sacred time. Seek forgiveness and resolve to be a better version of yourself in the year ahead. Let us strengthen our bonds as a community and work together to create a world filled with love, understanding, and peace. I would like to express my gratitude to all the volunteers, clergy, service leaders, chorus, band, and the staff who have worked tirelessly to make these high holidays possible. Your dedication is truly appreciated and not taken for granted. May this high holiday season be a time of deep spiritual reflection and renewal for all of us. May we find the strength to forgive and to be forgiven. May we emerge from this period as better individuals and a stronger, more connected community. Please note, should there be an emergency while we're here at St. Bart's at any of our services, we have exit doors on the left and the right side of the sanctuary. And if you should need a break at any time during services, we have a quiet, low-sensory room located on the left past the restrooms as you exit the sanctuary. Also, feel free to take your program with you tonight or leave it in the baskets as you exit. That helps us out if you take them with you. If you have any concerns or questions here or at any time during the year, please come and see me anytime. My door is always open. Thank you for being here tonight. I wish all of you a blessed and meaningful high holiday season. Shana Tova.
It is Shabbat, and Will has still written this amazing setting for Yedid Nefesh, which, of course, is going to share with us now. do our special psalm, Psalm 92 for Shabbat, which says Tov Lahodot Adonai. It's good to give thanks to Adonai. And I can't probably take everybody's individually, but I'm just going to invite you. This past year has been complicated for sure. But if there is something you are grateful for in the past year, just share it. And if you're on Zoom, type it in. Anyone, something that's going well. Daughters in remission. I could. Family. New job. That's good for me. Rebecca Goldsmith. Yeah, no kidding. New books in the world. Yeah.
When Bob Schwartz fell on the softball field, and I looked at him and said, "Do you know what your name is?" And he said, "Miss Thing." Grateful for that.
Yeah, it's Miss Thing. Don't forget that he's got a title. For all of the things that we are grateful for that we could hear, that were said, that weren't said, that were typed, that weren't typed. Psalm 92 on page 52 in your Machzor. Page 30, below the line, invite Elizabeth Cohen to share this poem from Mary Oliver.
Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? The grasshopper, I mean the one who has flung herself out on the grass, the one who is eating sugar out of my hand, who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous and complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearms and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through the fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last, and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life?
The human being, flesh, touched by spirit. We remind ourselves again to return to that spirit. Page 50, the third line down. Return us, let us return. We know how to do this. We've done it before. Hashivenu. Before we continue into the main part of the service, Margie always reminds me, I should tell people who I am when I start a service, and every once in a while I remember, I'm Rabbi Mike Rothbaum, I work for you. See, I did it that time. But one of the reasons Margie tells me that all the time is because she's always thinking about the community, people in it, who are visiting, people who are guests, and people, of course, we hope become members. And so it is absolutely fitting that she's going to tell you a little bit about her connection to this community and why it's so important to keep it going.
Thank you,
Margie,
Rabbi. Good evening.
Good evening.
As the rabbi said, I'm Margie Oshra, and I'm going to tell you a secret. But don't tell anybody that I confess this to you. Haley, our executive director, asked me to do this appeal. I was very honored, but more so terrified. I don't love public speaking, so I said no. But let me explain. I was raised by my Jewish mom. Her name was Lillian Osiason Neusner, and she had a personality that was a combination of Bette Midler and Barbara Walters on steroids. My brother's friends nicknamed her Luscious Lil, and that was for both her great cooking and her uncensored humor. She had a syndrome common to some Jewish mothers. She had absolutely no boundaries. She loved her Reformed temple, Sherazetic in Tampa, and she was the first woman president in the early 1970s, long before women served in such positions. She had a father, my grandfather, George Green, who was a longtime state representative in the Roxbury, Massachusetts. And he was blinded at a bar mitzvah when he was just 13 as a result of an exploding bottle of soda. A little piece of glass got in his eye, got infected, and it was before penicillin. And due to his blindness, my mom, as a young woman, as a young girl, had to accompany him on many trips for his political business. She witnessed that political system, and she worked and how it worked and how my grandfather worked the system to accomplish the goals for his constituents. She essentially learned how the sausage was made. Excuse such an unkosher metaphor. So Lil used all that she observed about the art of politics, and she put it to excellent use, leading her congregation in a way that allowed it to grow and flourish. But the presidency she had was clouded by a huge congregational split, sort of like what's happening in our politics in this country. Whether the rabbi was going to be fired for an indiscretion or be given a lifetime contract. It was a big, bloody battle. I heard about it every night in depth over dinner. And it was really tough because the rabbi and the congregation were extensions of our home and our family. So this experience convinced me to never, ever serve on a synagogue board. And this is probably the biggest promise I've ever kept to myself throughout my life. So I do love to volunteer for anything else for my synagogue, but my sensitivity and my tendency to use body language when frustrated inspired me to keep this promise in check. So what could I do to say, what should I say to Haley? But of course, yes, I will do the speech. Very simply, I love CBH. It's like my big warm hug of a spiritual family. And when asked to do something so important as to sustain this unique and welcoming congregation, saying no was simply not an option. So here I am, Hineni. Steve and I love this congregation, and we feel so at home here, and did from the first service we attended back at the Friends School almost 20 years ago, at the bat mitzvah of Audrey Galix and David Schechter's daughter. It was so warm and welcoming, and the atmosphere was just incredible, unlike any I've experienced in a congregation. The congregants were so loving of the children. The music was just beautiful. The prayer book inspiring and so progressive. The service was meaningful and thoughtfully crafted. Steve and I looked at each other with tears in our eyes and said, "We found our spiritual home." So Steve and I joined CBH. We made many friends that are family to us. Members were people we could relate to, we could feel comfortable with, shared values, political views with, marched together for social justice. And then through the CBH's music program, our spirits soared, our hearts opened wide from the exquisite and deeply touching music. We learned so much about how our LGBTQ friends endured discrimination and worse, yet they had the courage to start their own congregation by meeting in friends' homes, closing the drapes so they could feel safe. We learned about the world of trans children, teens, and adults, and the challenges they've been through and still face today, not just in our state, but throughout the country. We learned about Reconstructionism and what a congregation looks like when there are members who step up and lead services, who deliver devars, who create their own minion groups, their own chant groups, mindfulness groups, and with unbelievable creativity just flowing in every direction. Many of us long-term members, we just pinch ourselves and believe ourselves to be so fortunate to have found ourselves among this loving community where folks truly show up for each other, whether it's a simcha or it's shiva. Strong connections with each other, divine through hard work, intentional design, shared visions, both of now and in the future of our congregation. I love that we open our doors to guests on the high holidays, and we welcome them to join us for services and get to know us. Whether you're a longtime member, a new member, or just visiting, we hope that you are feeling the magic of our congregation. And we hope you find these services thought-provoking, inspiring, as you navigate the journey of your souls through these days of awe. We ask you to make a donation to Congregation Bet Havarim so that you and others can continue to be invited through those open doors for high holiday services in the future, and so that CBH continues to thrive. The recommended donation is $360, though all donations are deeply appreciated. The cost is steep for our congregation to provide these services, so please make an offering that you feel is worthy of your experience. You can do your first mitzvah of the new year by donating generously. Guests and members can donate by scanning the QR code. I had a copy of it here. Here we go. That's in your program.
But not right now.
But not this second. You can wait 5 minutes.
Nope.
Just kidding. Or you can go to the donate to cbh.org/2023, also in your program. Or you can just go to the person at the welcome desk and hand them a nice fat check. I wish each of you a huge dose of blessings throughout this new year, bringing you the best of health to be inscribed in the book of life for another year, and find ways to make this world a kinder place for everyone. I would like to see each of you introduce yourself to somebody you don't know on the way out of the building, and you can wish them a Lashana Tova. So my mom's smiling right now, wherever her spirit dwells. She's knowing what it was like to have a congregation that meant the world to her. And she inspired me to do this search for the same and find it for myself. If you've never had that experience, come and join us at Congregation Bet Havarim, because everybody deserves to find a spiritual home. Lashana Tova.
Turn to page 62. Rise in body or spirit as we begin Mariv, our evening service with Barhu. This is not the front of the, this is not east. So we're going to open the ark. So you've got your choice. You can face the ark or you can face east toward the holy city of Jerusalem. We're nothing if not accommodating. Page 62, our Barhu. Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed.
Leolam vaed.
You may be seated. Thank you. Thanks. Trying. You perfect. Continue on page 62. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bidvaro mariv aravim. Blessed is the one who brings on the evening. We are blessed to have Susan Birch here, who is going to share a reading from Rabbi Jack Reimer. And I invite you to come on up.
Sure. Thank you. Okay, this is a prayer for the new year that my rabbi from Jewish Family and Career Services shared with us, and I wanted to share it with you. That to everything there is a season, and there is an opportunity, an appointed time for every purpose under heaven. Now is the time for turning the awesome change as does the balance of day and night. The seasons, the birds are beginning to turn and are healing once more toward the south. The animals are beginning to turn to storing their food for the winter. For the earth, birds and animals turning comes naturally, but for us, turning does not come as so easily. See, it takes an act of will for us to turn. It means breaking with old habits. It means admitting that we have been wrong and that this is never easy. It means breaking. It means icing. It means losing face. It means starting all over again. And this is always painful. It means saying, I'm sorry. It means admitting that we have the ability to change. And this is always embarrassing. See, there, embarrassing. Sorry, guys. These things are terribly hard to do, but unless we turn, we will be trapped forever in yesterday's ways. Dear God, help me to turn from callousness to sensitivity, from hostility to love, from pettiness to purpose, from envy to contentment, from carelessness to discipline, from fear to faith. Turn me around, oh God, and bring me back towards you. Revive my life as at the beginning, and turn me towards others, God. For in isolation there is no life. By Jack Reamer.
Amen.
Thank you. And amen. And Happy New Year. Thank you. Thank you.
Continue on page 66.
Nu מעביר יום ומביא לילה, מבדיל בין יום ובין לילה, אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. יאי דה 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 דה, יאי דה 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 דה, יאי da 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 da, ya da 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 da, ya da 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 da. Baruch ata Adonai, Hamari v'haravim, Amen.
I invite you to turn to page 72. Ahavat Olam is going to lead right into the Shema, which is on page 76. When we get to the Shema, instead of the High Holiday Nusach, we're going to try breathing. We're going to try pausing and finding our connection to heaven through breath. And so again, Ahavat Olam 72 and 74, and then one breath for each word of the Shema on page 76.
נאוות עולם בית ישראל עמך עמך אהבת תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקיך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו בהם נהגה יומם בלילה והברכה על סור ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל שמע ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם מאוד על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בעיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך.
You have your choice of two different selections here, pages 77 and 78, as well as 81 and 82, the traditional middle part of the V'ahavta. I invite you to say it quietly in the Hebrew, in the English. If we all pray together at our own speed and our own time, we get this beautiful sound of holy murmuring, even though the words don't match. It all is this blanket, this beautiful garment of spirituality. We're going to come together after that on the bottom of page 84. I am sure. God will give you grass upon the field to feed your animals, and you will eat and be content. You led astray, and you go off. Seal up the heavens and bring the fallen ground. Not give forth their produce, and be forced to leave the good land. So place these words upon you. Look at it, remember it, it's what of your eternal one, and do them so you will. Remember to do all my mitzvot and be holy.
למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים אני אדוני אלוהיכם אדוני אלוהיכם אמן.
In a minute, we are going to pray our people's liberation song, Mi Chamocha, which is what the slaves who were liberated at the shores of the sea and walked to freedom sang, and we know this from Torah. It's not a once thing, right? You say, did the Torah happen? I don't know. I know the Torah happens. It always happens. And it's fascinating that today, we already said it's two things. It's Shabbat and it's Rosh Hashanah. It is also the 60th anniversary of the bombing of the Birmingham church in 1963, when we lost, called the four little girls, Addie Mae Collins, Cynthia Wesley, Carol Robertson, and Denise McNair. I just learned myself that there were actually two boys who were killed that day. Virgil Ware was killed by a segregationist mob, and Johnny Robinson was shot in the back by a police officer. It's also the day that UAW has gone on strike. All of this is coming together. And why am I talking about all of these things? Because, like I said, whether or not it happened, it keeps happening. There are always pharaohs. And there are always rivers to cross. There are always times when we have to say something. If we are going to continue to move forward as a nation, Supreme Court Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson said today at a commemoration, we cannot allow concerns about discomfort to displace knowledge, truth, or history. It is certainly the case that parts of this country's story can be hard to think about. And today, people who put together my car are trying to get better wages, and they're trying to get better treatment. And by the way, if you want to see what an interracial group of people working together looks like, if you want to see King's dream, go look at a picket line, especially one in the Midwest, and you will see black folks and white folks working together because they need to. Because when Pharaoh is at the door, we only get free if we get free together. So I'm going to invite you to think of the people who need our solidarity. Maybe it's you. Maybe you need the power of this congregation. Maybe you need to be reminded that liberation is possible. And so this song is for you. Mi Chamocha, our liberation song, is on page 90.
מי כמוך אלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל ישראל.
Page 91 and 2 is Hashkivenu.
השכיבנו, אדוני אלוהינו לשלום.
Help us to lie down, dear one, our God, in peace.
והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים.
And let us rise again, our sovereign, to life.
ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך.
Spread over us the shelter of your peace.
ותגננו בעץ התורה מפניך, והושיענו למען שמך.
Decree for us a worthy daily lot and redeem us for the sake of your great name.
ובצל כנפיך תסתירנו.
Enfold us in the wings of your protection.
כי אל שומרנו מצי
For
אלינו.
you are our redeeming guardian.
נעמת כי אל מלך חנון ורחום אתה.
Truly a sovereign, gracious, and compassionate God are you.
ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ושלום מעתה ועד עולם ועד עולם.
Guard our going forth each day for life and peace, now and always.
ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך.
Spread over us the shelter of your
ברוך
peace.
אתה אדוני הפורס סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים.
Amen. We turn to page 95 and 96 and rise in body or spirit as we sing V'shamru in honor of Shabbos Kodesh, the Holy Sabbath.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברי עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. בני ובן ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברד עולם.
May be seated. Turn to page 97. Blast piercing notes upon the shofar for the new moon, for the full moon, for our festive holiday, for it is Israel's law, a statute of the God of Jacob.
תיקחו בחודש שופר בכסה ליום חגנו, כי חוק לישראל ומשפט לאלוהי יעקב.
Turn to page 100 for the Chatzi Kaddish as we rise in body or spirit.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה ביום דברך חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומכון ובחיי לכל בית ישראל בגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי קודשם ברכו לעילה ולעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה את תושבחתה ונחמתה תאמירן בעלמה ואמרו אמן.
This is called a short Amidah by Sid Lieberman. They say we're supposed to be in a palace. And so we bow and take certain steps as the prescribed supplication drops from our lips. But what do we really know of castles and kings? My kitchen faucet constantly leaks, and the kids' faces usually need cleaning. If a door opened to a real palace, I'd probably forget and carry in a load of groceries. No, the door we stand in front of when the Amidah begins is silence. And when we open it and step through, we arrive in our hearts. Mine's not a fancy place, no jewels, no throne, certainly not fit for a king. But in that small chamber for just a few minutes on Shabbos, God and I can roll up our sleeves, put some schnapps out on the table, sit down together, and finally talk. That's palace enough for me. First Amidah of our high holidays is on page 103 and 104. We'll begin with Adonai Sefatai Tiftach, and then the palace is yours. You've got through page 126, the Hebrew, the English, what's below the line, what's above it, or this moment. You can walk anywhere you want in this building. This space is for you. You let us know that you've gotten to the end of your Amidah, your standing prayer, when you get there by being seated.
Adonai Sefatai Tiftach Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Open my lips, beloved one, and let my mouth declare your praise.
turn our hearts to the people in our world who are in need of healing, whether that is physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. This space is for you to picture them in whatever way you can, walking that journey in whatever way they can. Even if a cure is not possible, there is always some sort of healing that is accessible. So we're going to chant 2 verses of the Mishaberach prayer. In between, I have a list that I will read of names that this community is holding close, and afterwards I'll invite you to say out loud the names of anybody you're holding close. Of course, if you're on Zoom, you can type those names in as well. Remember, your prayers matter for yourself just as much as they do for others. This is a space of healing that we're creating together.
This is call and response.
Tracy Stern Cox, Richard Adler, Richard Cohen, Jenny Williams Cohen, Sharon Miller, Rosalie Levy, Pepe Lurie, Naya Brown, Mona Lisa Schultz, Linda Staples, Amy Kraft, Naomi Stauber, Carla Caraballo, Sarah Griscom, Margie Osheroff, Talia Bat, Yehudit, Jeannie Heinzen, Nancy Gerber, Scott Gerber, Billy Nach, Ann Schley, Peter Bauer, Leslie Bauer, Malcolm Estroff, Steve Somers, Alan Brendel, Sharon Kuttner, Janet Harden, Susan Finelli, Bev Prestwood, Abby Drew, Shelley Cotlier, Jay Rosen, Diane Dexter, Don Tarter, Hannah Namkung, Fran Shahar, Jessica Brown, Iska Batalia, Nusen Hakoin Ben Esther, Sonny Caldwell, Benjamin Gittleson, Terry Bahacek, Elaine Harris, Marjorie Adler, Anna Levy Sprick, Gertrude Bronstein, Elizabeth Cohen, Ruth Canfer, Melissa Cutler, Jerry Cagle, Shoshana Mitzner, Carolyn Levantly, Dave Schechter, Simcha Bahaviva, Steve Asheroff, Wendy Belkin, Andrea Esteroff, Ken Flanagan, Neil Schnoll, Bunny Van Adelsberg, Carol Orenstein, Sherry Cassidy, Jackie Leary, Mark Hogan, Maurice Graham, Ali Sharman, Glenn Sattel, Martin Glickstein, Margie Cohen, Nolan Bryce Wilson, Martin Robinson, Rabbi Zev Chaim Fire, Loretta Bernstein, Patty Marcus, Marion Myers, Andrea Estroff, Michael Rich, Anna West Ott, Teresa Barnett. Any other names we'd like to add?
מקור החיים, לאמותינו, הוא יברך, וירפא את החולים, את החולים.
Baruch atah Adonai, Rofeh HaCholim. Blessed are you, Adonai, healer of the sick. We say amen. So when I was first checking out this synagogue, I was going to apply to be the rabbi. Lots of stuff came up. I found out that 2 couples in the synagogue had been on wife swap. Yeah, and the other couple we'll talk about another time. But you know, there was this woman, Mackenzie, and can I tell you, she was a badass. I was like really into this woman, yeah, and because she was like, she had principles and she knew what she stood for. It was not easy, and I was like, yeah, I want to be with them. And then I found out she had been the president of the synagogue, and I was like, yeah, this is a good place I want to be. And of course, then I got to know you better, and I found that you were this person of deep spirit and creativity, and your time as president had been one of a beautiful building, and building with different parts of this community that didn't always match. And I said, okay, L'Shem Shemayim, for the sake of heaven, this is a person who I hope has some good Torah for us. And of course, my hunch was right. So I'm going to invite Mackenzie Wren to be our darshanit for tonight.
Okay, with an opening like that, just a little intimidating. Okay, first of all, let's get centered in sound. Is this good? Is this good? You can hear me? Yeah? Hi, friends. Whew. I'm going to take a deep breath. I'm going to invite everybody to take a deep breath because that will help me. So let's just breathe. Because anytime I get outed in public for wife swap, holy crap, that has shut down more meetings. I'm trying to be professional, and somebody's like, oh my God, did you know they were on wife swap? And then we have to talk about that instead of cool things like strategic plans and, I don't know, community building. So shalom, y'all. There is so many ways that I could greet you, but shalom, y'all, just seems to be the thing that I want to say to you all. Welcome to this sacred gathering as we usher in the new year. It is my honor to talk to you about talking. I am a member of CBH, and as Rabbi Mike said, I also had the honor of serving as president in 20-something BCE, before COVID era. So ever since I was a teenager, I've loved a good debate. So from the get-go, I was eager to enter into a grand conversation, really about things that matter. And I loved a passionate discussion, table pounding, and I was okay if voices got raised. I quickly learned, however, that that was a surefire way to ruin a party. Seems like not everybody shares my joy, and in fact, people often perceived my passionate debating as a fight. And they would begin shifting uncomfortably, and they would leave the room. Probably one of my most notable debates was with my best friend's father, who was a lawyer, y'all. And to me, the essence of conservative, capitalistic adulthood, the worst. He calmly and coolly ripped every one of my arguments to shreds as I argued with him, and I attempted to tell him exactly how misguided his life and values were. So I was left red-faced, emotional, and gasping, but I was also really exhilarated. My best friend, however, was mortified, and we actually did not speak for several years. So it was partly as a result of this experience that I realized that I was not listening. I was trying to change him and the world using a sledgehammer of words. I continued to wield my sledgehammer, absolutely convinced of the rightness of my convictions, until I slowly began to realize that my one-sided assailing was serving nobody, including me. And slowly over the years, I actually learned to listen, and I became a little bit more curious, and I like to think a lot less judgmental, but really I know in my heart I'm really still judgmental. It's Yom Kippur, I'm gonna have to confess that anyway, right? So gradually though, it is true that I began to care less about changing someone else's mind and more about figuring out how to build relationships across difference, and more importantly, how to stay in relationship. Which brings us to our high holiday theme of L'Shem Shamayim, for the sake of heaven. We're going to be exploring different aspects. Some really smart people are going to be talking to you over the next couple of weeks. And tonight, I get to talk about Malochet L'Shem Shamayim, arguments for the sake of heaven, which is specific to how we engage in debates or arguments or discussions in holy community. I've been a professional facilitator for the last 8 years and a community builder for much longer than that. And my work helps people actively listen to each other across deeply held opinion divides. Very far from the table pounding of my late teens, I now help people listen to each other in exactly the way that I did not listen. I hold space, that most facilitatorish of terms, for other people to actually hear each other and maybe, just maybe, to work together. I'm pretty sure this is news to all y'all, but we Jews are pretty good at talking. We can discuss absolutely everything. You know, 2 Jews, 3 opinions. And also, I learned, this is so cool, many of us employ a style of talking that is referred to, okay, y'all ready? Highly interactive, cooperative, overlapping, participatory listenership. That's the long way to say interrupting and talking over each other. Thank you, Deborah Tannen, for who came up with that. So when it comes to arguments, Rabbi Mike already mentioned 2 of the most famed Talmudic scholars and arguers of Rabbi Hillel and Rabbi Shammai. They were leaders of 2 major schools in the other BCE era, I think the 1st century BCE. Rumor and record has it that there were over 350 debates between the houses of Shammai and Hillel, and they covered all aspects of halakha, religious law. This includes the proper way to light candles, increasing or decreasing, to the ideal thickness of Passover matzah. Okay. Shammai argued for a thin loaf, a thin matzah that you can see the light through, while Hillel advocated for a thick loaf, possibly one that can double as a doorstop. And it wasn't just Hillel and Shammai who took on matzah. There are pages and pages and pages of discussion about matzah thickness. You thought it was tough for us to develop an alcohol policy? Or discuss the prayer for the end of hiding? Y'all have not read about matzah thickness. It goes on and on and on, and truly at the end of the day, it's still just as clear as, well, a matzah ball, of course. So how do we actually find a way through deeply held opinions? How do we come up with a third option that two Jews can share, that connects rather than divides? How do we chart a new way through our divided country, also referenced already? The deep divides in our country are painful. How do we bring people back into relationship with each other? How do we settle things and make decisions in a way that builds community? How do we avoid the vilification of people who hold ideas different from us? Some of the answers can actually be found in the relationship between Rabbis Hillel and Shammai. They are rumored to have stayed in relationship with each other with great mutual respect, even as they went through their 350 different disputes. And despite their differences, it's written, they behaved toward one another truthfully, and there was peace between them. As it is said, they loved truth and peace. So not surprisingly, there's other guidance in our tradition about how to have a conversation. Judaism teaches us that arguments for the sake of heaven are not just permissible, but are in fact necessary for growth and understanding. A key aspect is that the arguments resolve and that they lead to greater growth and understanding and don't create divides like in the shul that Margie talked about, right? That they bring us together. And that last part, that's the challenging part. Malochet l'shem shamayim, arguments for the sake of heaven. It invites consideration of a variety of opinions, but it also encourages making a passionate and disciplined case for one's own position. So it's an interesting balancing act, right? Because you've got to consider multiple truths, but you also have to have your own convictions. So it's interesting, and it's tough. We in wider US culture tend to go towards an either-or way of thinking, and again, recent trends have us vilifying each other rather than discussing ideas. But the true point of conversation is to engage, to learn, and if the situation warrants, to come together to make a decision. So I've talked about matzah, that's important, but I really want to talk about cookies. Because cookies are obviously a very important topic of conversation and connection. So I have a friend whom I will call the Lioness of God. She's fierce. She makes excellent cookies. But she likes thick, chewy, unbaked, practically raw cookies. I like thin, crispy, well-done cookies. And I would say that in general, the Lioness and I are kind of like Hillel and Shammai in general when it comes to food. If I like something, I can almost guarantee that she won't, and vice versa. Well, it could have been a thing, right? If you don't share the same food, it can divide you. It could have been a thing. It actually almost was. But we were able to have a malochet l'shem shamayim. We had an argument for the sake, okay, it might not have been for heaven, but it was for cookies, all right? It was an argument for the sake of cookies. And we worked towards understanding and graciousness. It sounds silly, but it's not, right? Not really, because food can bring people together, or it can divide us if we don't have honest conversations about our needs. The Lioness and I could have internalized our differences and judged each other and not communicated. We could have called each other names and become offended, and we could have let cookies and other food divide us, but we didn't. We learned to tolerate our differences and even joke about them. And I will say that in the true gracious style, in the way that Hillel was known for, the Lioness makes me bespoke crispy cookies that she will not eat. It's amazing, right? I'm so grateful for my crispy cookies handmade by the Lioness of God. So take this idea of cookies and expand it. Expand it to the big issues. How can we hold other kinds of differences and stay in relationship? That's the challenge. And that's where malochet l'shem shamayim comes in again. So how do we do it? First, we slow down. Being and staying in relationship, in community, takes time. It takes time to build trust, although it takes just a minute to break it. And if we slow down and set some guidelines as to how we can talk to each other, We can remember the holiness that is in us and between us. Another way is to constantly push against the binary thinking. Either or really doesn't serve us, and truly working to hold a multiple truths approach. Things are rarely black and white and able to be captured in sound bites. Too much nuance. We need time to listen to each other. I find myself drawing on many Jewish values when I facilitate. I practice kavod, respect. I work to remember that we are all Betz Elohim, made in the image of God. A good dose of anava, humility, goes a long way, and I definitely work. I practice a lot on this one, on savlanut, patience. I also listen to my body, and I encourage others to remember that they have bodies too. Taking deep breaths. Providing time to fully arrive in a gathering and remembering to connect before we dive into the work. My work centers on creating a space where we can do this work of slowing down and understanding each other's perspectives, values, hurts, and joys. And in that space, people can work to stay in relationship across deep differences. It doesn't mean that I stop voting my values or working for change, but it does mean that the other person remains holy and human. It's challenging when I know that someone's action on a belief may bring harm to me or people that I love. That's when it's hard. And that's when we really have to lean in. I know, I've seen it happen, that when we are able to slow down, practice compassion, truly listen to each other, and be heard, that we can create a third way. Maybe you think I'm idealistic and out of touch, but I really and truly believe more than ever that it is up to each of us to engage in malochet l'shem shamayim, arguments for the sake of heaven, and to act as if the whole world is holy community. Because it is. We're fragile beings living on a fragile planet. What will it take to help us slow down and listen to each other, to stop vilifying each other for our differences, but to recognize that we actually all can have cookies the way that we like, and we can share them together if we just listen to each other and find out what we need to feel safe, supported, and loved. I'll conclude by bringing back Hillel and his famous words commenting on the mitzvah from Leviticus, "Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself." And then he adds, "That which is hateful to you, do not do to your neighbor. This is the whole of Torah, the rest is commentary. Go and learn it." And I will add one more nuance that was emblazoned on a Sojourn t-shirt a few years ago. You shall love thy neighbor even if they are not like yourself. May our differences strengthen us, and may our unity arise from a shared commitment to seeking the divine presence in every facet of our lives. Shana Tova umetucha, a sweet and blessed new year to each and every one of you.
Adon haselichot bochen levarot golei amukot dover tzedakot חטאנו לפניך, חטאנו
invite you to rise in body or spirit as we continue on page 1202 with Elena. Yes? As the ark doors are open. Yeah.
So friends, tonight as part of Elenu, we offer a piece that I wrote inspired by the words of our rabbi. Rabbi Mike asked me to write this song to lift up the idea of tikkun olam, or repairing the world. In our modern context, the idea of tikkun olam means taking action for social justice, and it comes from a phrase in Elenu, l'taken olam b'malchut Shaddai, which Rabbi Mike translates as to heal the world through the power of spirit. And that's where the name of this song comes from, l'taken olam. So we sing tonight to help us remember that justice, bringing justice to the world, is a mitzvah. It's in the liturgy, and it's a charge from our rabbi, and it's up to us, each of us and all of us. And in Hebrew, the phrase, "it is up to us," translates to Alenu. So I invite you to join us in singing together. We find Alenu on page 1202. We'll pray the traditional Alenu up through Hakadosh Baruch Hu at the top of page 1204, and then we'll sing this song.
עלינו לשבח לאדון
הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שנתן לנו תורת אמת, וחיי עולם נטע בתוכנו, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
Maybe seated.
לתקן עולם במלכות שדי, לתקן עולם במלכות שדי, לתקן עולם במלכות שדי, לתקן עולם במלכות שדי, במלכות שדי. Every time a mother cries, Hallelujah. And every time our fire dies, Hallelujah. This world is shattered into dust, Hallelujah. And repairing it is up to us. לתקן עולם במלכות שדי, לתקן עולם במלכות שדי, לתקן עולם במלכות שדי, לתקן עולם במלכות שדי, במלכות שדי. Broken and the beaten down, Hallelujah. The homes where there's no hope around, Hallelujah. If we open up our hearts to feel, Hallelujah. Then our spirit has the power to heal. Hallelujah, Hallelujah. לתקן עולם במלכות שדי, במלכות שדי, במלכות שדי.
ככתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה
Is Jean? Oh, yeah, I took away your honor. I did, and Terry worked so hard to give it to you. I closed the arc so people didn't have to stand for the whole thing, but we still love you. So, you forgive me? It's that time of year, you have to, you know. I invite Amy Lighthill to lead us in the prayer for the end of hiding.
Back when the prayer for the end of hiding was written decades ago, gay and lesbian people had good reason to believe they had to hide at their places of worship as well as in the rest of society. And Jews in the South had been facing their own well-founded fears for a long time, too. Today, our world has evolved, yet our beloved community sits squarely at the intersection of several targets of discrimination and hatred. Our wise elders wrote a prayer to sustain us, to offer communal support, but also to challenge all of us to ask ourselves, where and how am I hiding from the truth of my life? Please join me in affirming the prayer for the end of every kind of hiding. May we all help create the conditions in which no one feels compelled to hide. As LGBTQ Jews, we are aware of the loss of integrity we suffer due to the pressures of the larger society. We often feel forced into a dishonest presentation of ourselves to ourselves and others. The LGBTQ individuals who feel they must pretend to be something that they are not. The Jews who feel they must be alienated from their tradition and community to win larger acceptance. Both are victims of a theft of identity and integrity committed by the sexual, gender-identifying, or religious majority. Creator of the universe, we ask that our hiding draw to an end, that we no longer feel we have to pretend, to promise falsely, to renounce ourselves, and that the fullest expression as Jews and as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer people be among the blessings you bestow upon us. Amen.
Page 1216. We'll find Kaddish Yatom, Mourner's Kaddish. And I invite anyone who has a recent death or the yahrzeit, the anniversary of a death, to rise and, if they so desire, to say the names of the folks they're remembering out loud. also add Addie Mae Collins, Cynthia Wesley, Carol Robertson, Denise McNair, Johnny Robinson, and Virgil Ware. When we get to the fourth line in the Hebrew on 12:16, which is the fifth line in the transliteration, it's our custom here to rise as a community, if you so desire, to support the folks who are standing in front of you, as well as in memory of those who die every day of war, of hate, of hunger, natural disaster, uncured disease, those killed al-Kadush Hashem for the sanctification of God's name amongst the Jewish people. Kaddish Yatom Mourners Kaddish, 12:16. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah Be'alma Divra Hirute V'yamlich Malchute B'chayechon Uvyomechon V'chaye Dechol Beit Yisrael Ba'gala V'izman Kariv V'imru. Amen. Yehe Shmei Rabbah Mivarach V'olam U'almei Almaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpa'ar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yithadar V'yitalev V'yitalal Shemei Dekudesha Harichu La'ela La'ela Mikol Birchata V'shirata Tush B'chata V'nechamata Damiran V'alma V'imru. Amen. Yehe Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chayim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru. Amen. Ose Shalom B'mromav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'al Kol Yoshvei Tevel. Amen. Zecher Tzadik Livracha, in the book of Proverbs, the memory of our righteous ones is always for a blessing. And we say Amen. You may be seated. As we do through we did through the month of Elul and through the high holiday season, Psalm 27, Achat Sha'alti, Chava Miral's version. Oh, and if you want to read along, it's 12:18. So we're going to bring up somebody who it took a lot of convincing to get her to come up here. She's very shy. And so if you could just give her some love. Marcy Alt is going to share some announcements, the holy business of this community with you.
Shabbat Shalom. Lashana Tova. Welcome to Congregation Bet Havarim for our Erev Rosh Hashanah service, both to those of you who are here in person as well as to those who are joining us on Zoom. My name is Marcy Alt, and I'm proud to be a board member of Congregation Bet Havarim. So first I want to thank all of our volunteers. Without them, we could never pull this off. Thanks to the amazing on-site staff, the facility staff that's on duty tonight, the police officers that are on duty, and especially thanks to all the people that brought items for tonight's oneg. It'll be located in the fellowship hall at the end of services. I also want to thank Rabbi Mike. We couldn't do this without him. Rebecca Goldsmith, Will Robertson, our lay cantors, Shana Cohen, Brad Daviddorf, and Ariella Friedman, as well as the chorus and the band. So join us tomorrow for Rosh Hashanah services. They're here at 9:30 in the morning. The doors will open at 9:15. Plan to pack a picnic lunch or bring your own lunch after services and join us for Kiddush and Tashlik at W.D. Thompson Park, and that'll be at 2:30. So please note that the CBH building will be open during Tashlik as there are no restrooms at W.D. Thompson. Very good. On Sunday, Rosh Hashanah Day 2 chant service will be at the CBH's building at 9:30 a.m. Parking on Sunday will be on the side streets or across the street at Brewster's. Please do not park at the in-town church as they will have services at the same time. Ooh, that would be fun. We will have security to help you cross the street in front of the building. Afterward, join us Sunday for Reverse Tashlik at 3 p.m., part of a nationwide Jewish cleanup effort at Mason Mill Park. See our website to register. The CBH office is going to be closed on Monday and Tuesday. Next Friday, September 22nd, Shabbat services is Labor in the Pulpit, which will be at 7:30 p.m. at CBH. Our guest,
Darshan.
thank you, will be Joseph Hyde, political educational trainer of the Georgia AFL-CIO. Labor Shabbat provides a unique opportunity for the Jewish community and the labor movement to rediscover our common bonds of social justice, equality, and the dignity for all people, economic and racial justice, fair treatment in the workplace, and the right to form unions. Get more information for the rest of the high holiday services, Kol Nidre, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, Simchat Torah, on our website. And our website is congregationbethhavarim.org. Join the CBH musicians and clergy for Atlanta Pride in October. Woohoo! Every year, Sojourn coordinates the Jewish community's presence in the parade and at the Parade Festival in Piedmont Park. And CBH is proud to participate and come and connect with 40-plus Jewish groups it's on the weekend of October 13th through 15th. Come celebrate a milestone. As the students of the advanced Hebrew class chant Torah at CBH Shabbat morning services, Saturday, October 14th at 9:30 a.m. Check out our website for more information about CBH's day service and partnership, the Daffodil Project, to bring mini daffodil gardens to your home on October 22nd. The last day to order your daffodils is October 10th. Save the date. November 4th will be the L'chaim fundraiser event. It's honoring the work of our own Jackie Sherman. There she is. She's somewhere. There she is. So be sure to check BetMail and the CBH website for the latest on all upcoming programs. So So Congregation Bet Havarim's high holiday services are free, and they're open to all. We ask each of you, members and guests in person and on Zoom, to make a generous donation so we'll be able to keep this alive. Hashanah Tova.
Shana Tova. Shikoyach. Beautiful. You made it. Yeah. You came out of your shell. That was nice. Shy and retiring. Also want to thank Mackenzie Wren for her beautiful Devar Torah, her drash. And of course, Terry Egdahl, who makes sure everybody, all these people who volunteer, show up. So, yeah, look, see, getting applause. Fantastic. Speaking of fantastic people, Alan Sugar, the CBH Poet Laureate, offering his poem Rosh Hashanah.
Gosh, thank you so much, Rabbi Mike.
You're welcome.
Good Yontif.
Yontif.
This poem is called Rosh Hashanah. The sun descends in shadows on the earth, and soon we see the moon and stars appear. The world is new, we celebrate its birth, we congregate and greet another year. And as the yellow leaves drift to the ground, we lift our voices joyfully and sing. With family, friends, and strangers all around, we welcome fall as we recall the spring. We re-envision and review our goals, and we reflect on how we've missed the mark. We listen to the wisdom in our souls, and in our hearts, we hear a morning lark. The day begins complete and new once more. The planet spins with sweetness at its core. L'shana Tova.
Taro, Amavike.
God brought Abraham outside and said, look toward heaven, look toward Shemayim, and count the stars if you're able to count. And according to Genesis, God said to Abraham, your descendants will be like that. We're here. We made it. The fulfillment of that dream. Living promise. Star people. Here's a prayer. Let's be grateful. Shine our starlight. Look for the light in others. Point out the lights that have gone unnoticed. Fight for everyone's right to shine. Bask in the glow of the whole big, beautiful sky. Shabbat Shalom, Shana Tova. Happy 5784. See you tomorrow.